Welcome to How Now, the podcast where we talk about how to live in the now. And here's your host, Kim Martin Raymond.
Peace and blessings, and welcome to another edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. I am your host, Kim Martin Raymond. I am a minister, spiritual life coach, author, and founder of Redefining You LLC, where I help my clients to realign themselves, mind, body, and spirit. And here we are in season 2 of the How Now podcast. This is our second episode. I am so excited that you have chosen to join us. Remember to go to my website, www.hownowpodcast.com. And there you will be able to click on the banner for this week's show. You'll also be able to go directly to my How Now YouTube channel. So that way you can watch the current and previous shows, and also be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. We're happy to have you, so you'll know when the shows are airing. You'll also go to the website and be able to see the platforms on which you can hear our podcast, and we're happy to have you tune in, like, and share there as well. So again, we're here this day, this beautiful Sunday.
And this year too.
Yeah, and this new year, to talk about something that's very important. And as you can see behind my guest, we're going to be talking about why you are sick, fat, and tired, and find out how. And before we dive into this conversation, as is customary with the How Now podcast, I'm going to have my guest to introduce herself at this time.
Thank you so much. I am Dr. Pat Boulogne. It's kind of like Boulogne, Cologne with a B. And I am a certified functional medicine doctor. I have certification in functional medicine, lifestyle medicine, and I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I'm acupuncture physician. I have a whole slew of education that could go out on a business card like an accordion. But what I do is I am a strategist. I do lifestyle strategies, and I help people put the pieces of the puzzle together so they're not wasting their time, their energy, or their money to move forward. I mentor, I coach. I'm an author of this book, best-selling book, Why Are You Sick, Fat, and Tired? And I help busy professionals, business leaders, executives, people who are influencers, and I think those also include mom and dads, be stronger, make better decisions, find better balance in their lives, and get more out of their day with superior wellness initiatives and thrive, so they can spend and still have energy at the end of the day for themselves and for those that matter.
Yes. Well, I am so excited and delighted that you have joined us today, and to talk about this conversation, because this is timely. Especially, the beginning of the new year, everyone is looking to, be on a wellness journey. Everybody's looking to sign up, to go to, all of the, health, going to, what is the word I'm looking for?
The gym.
The gym. That's the word. And they're signing up for gym memberships. They're trying to figure out what they want to do as far as their wellness journey. And a lot of us have gotten to that point because we've felt, sick, fat, and tired, just like your the title of your book says. And we kind of want to delve into that and to, try to talk about how you came up with that premise behind your book, Sick, Fat, and Tired. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I first want to say is that it's so important when you're choosing New Year's resolutions, you have to know where to start your health journey. Because what happens if you don't, then you pick the wrong place. And then in June, you're repeating the whole process again. Or you end up with having a crisis, which totally takes you out of your mindset of being able to get well and healthy. And you keep on having this, like, I start, I stop, I start, I stop. So people have a tendency to lose weight. In order for them to do it, I talk about 5 pillars of health in this book. And I talk about 5 pillars of health all the time. So those 5 pillars will get you to your goal that you want to go to. But you first, and the most important one for me, and when I work with clients, when I'm mentoring and coaching, because I do that in one package. A lot of people do one or they do the other, but I do them both because I feel that I can lead by example. and I can give you some really solid insight of do this, don't do that. So if you got the components of, diet and nutrition and exercise and sleep and proper mental attitude and positive mindset, and also the proper, posture and properly functioning nervous system, then you can take that fourth pillar with the fifth pillar and you can make your whole year count 150% better than you've ever done it before. Wow. And so knowing where to focus, knowing where to start is super, super important. Right. And so in defining that, and then finding those glitches, like, why do I keep on doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results, which is the definition of insanity per Albert Einstein. That's right. And so, but so many people do it. I've done it myself, and I'm thinking like, okay, Dr. Pat, let's put a stop on that, And so when I came up with the title of the book, I wrote this book and I had this totally different title that was, I didn't like the cover that the publisher put out. I had this big fight with them and I said, no. And I was talking to my sister in Las Vegas. And she said, well, why don't you just call it what it is? And so she just got the sick, fat, and tired part. And then I had a mentor coach at the time who said, but why? Because you always say, why? You've got to, if you understand why, and you can go to the root of the problem, then you know where to spend your time, your energy, and your money. So that's what we do together is we find that out, and then we can funnel in, hone in, and score, and you can get better results quicker, faster, and better. And it gets you unstuck so you can move forward. So the title of the book kind of came about like that. But an interesting sideline story on that is the business group I was in, a woman said to me, and they're supposed to be supporting you. So like when you go to do your book launch, they buy a book, they leave you a good review. Right. She said, I don't want to buy your book. I'm not sick. I'm not fat. I'm not tired. And I said, I'll give you that you are full of energy and you probably are never tired. That's a word that's probably isn't even in your vocabulary. Right. And I said, you don't know it really if you're fat, because you can be skinny and have a lot of visceral fat. And you would only know that if you did a body composition. Right. And then, it's just like, and, or also I go, you can know by the size of your clothes. And if you're buying bigger clothes or if you're wearing stretchy clothes, one of my mentors in medicine and business always said, never wear stretchy clothes because you'll like a goldfish, you'll grow into whatever the bowl is, so buy a pair of jeans that are one size smaller than what you would normally wear. Wow. And, and then you can get those at like, places that you can buy inexpensive clothes at, because you don't want to dump a lot of money into a $150 pair of jeans when you're going to grow out of them in 2 months. Right. So, you'll be growing into them and then growing into the next size down. Right. So it's just putting those pieces of the puzzle together for that. So the big part of the title of why you're sick, fat, and tired, is the sick part, because people don't get sick overnight. It takes a while to accumulate that. When people are pre-diabetic, they didn't suddenly wake up and they're pre-diabetic. People who are pre-diabetic don't even know they're pre-diabetic. Right. And, the people sometimes who are diabetic don't know they're diabetic until they start having bigger signs and symptoms, which I call Grim Reaper syndrome.
That's right.
And then you keep on denying. You look in the mirror going, I'm not that fat. I'm not, or I'm not this, or I'm not that. And you're putting your clothes on and you're thinking, why is it when I'm sitting down, my waistline like hangs over my flap? Right. And it's just like, I gained 10 pounds during COVID, and I am struggling to get that off. So I'm really looking for a mentoring partner, to like be able to do that with. Right. So the title comes about that. And also the most important thing is finding the root cause. Like, why is this like this anyway? Because it really doesn't matter what your diagnosis that you have been given. What matters is like, what is it in my environment, that's causing this problem in the first place? People only get sick by 3 ways. Do you want to know what they are?
Yes, I do.
Okay, get your pens and paper out, everybody.
That's right.
The first one is trauma. And trauma starts to happen at birth. Because when you're born and you come out of the canal and like out of the chute, some people call it, it's that 9 out of 10 children born have some level of cervical damage. Well, just think about being 1 day old and starting to have an inflammatory process in your joints that haven't even formed yet. And if it doesn't get taken care of, that process goes on and on and on and on, and then you're 20 years old and you're going like, why do I have a headache all the time? Why do I have PMS so bad? Why do I have, like indigestion? Why do my shoulders bother me? And, and you start looking at like, and you have to include all the falls and other traumas that happen when you're growing up, when you're trying to learn how to ride a bike, and then when those things happen, they keep on adding, adds a layer to it. So you've got to get rid of that inflammation. So the first reason is that inflammatory process that sits up. And so then what you have is you also have, the second is toxins. Sorry about that radio. My telephone's going off. I forgot to put it on silent. But at any rate, the second part is toxins, and toxins range from the air that you breathe, the water you eat, the food you eat, the water, food, air, and the cleaning fluids that you use in your house, and like even dryer sheets, and also gardening chemicals. Those things don't go away, and they're easily absorbed in the one cell layer in the intestinal tract. So if that happens and it goes into the intestinal tract and it gets absorbed into the blood, it's got to go over to the liver, and the liver's got to get rid of it. And what the liver does with toxins, it tries to bind them so they put them back into your intestinal tract. When that doesn't happen, they get absorbed again, they go back to the liver and they get processed again. So all these toxins that you have in your environment, they keep on recycling. When the liver gets overwhelmed, it will start to store them in blood, brain, bone, and fat. And so when you have, that's sometimes like when you're losing weight, people sometimes they go like, oh, I had a week that I was not feeling very well, and it's because those fat cells are baby endocrine cells, and they spit out all the toxins as you're burning them off. So it's important to have the ability to be able to, when you're losing weight and having other health crises, for that liver to really be up and working and doing its job correctly.
Wow.
So people ask me all the time about doing a liver detox. I went, don't. You never want to purge the liver. You want to tonify it. You don't want to make it more deficient. And that's why people sometimes when they do detoxifications, they feel pukey sick. And they just don't have the right detoxification program with them. And you also should really do that, especially if you have any health conditions. You want to be able to monitor that with somebody who has a clue. And that's really important. So all those toxins are accumulating there, and so you can fix the first one pretty easy. You can see a chiropractor, you can get better alignment, you can do exercises that support that. You can sleep better because that's where you repair, you revitalize, you restore, your brain detoxifies, and you can get it hitting the ground running. Because you can't exercise if you don't have enough sleep. You're more accident prone and things like that. And so when you have those things going on, it's so important to realize that, oh, I can fix that. I can eat better. I can move better, and I can think better, for like the part for sleeping and that type of thing. But, if I don't get a command on my thoughts, whatever you do to repair the first two, the trauma and the toxins, can be undone up to 7 to 10 times because of your thoughts, and you're not mastering those thoughts. You're not having command of them. So it's like putting the cart before the horse.
Right.
I use this as an analogy, putting the cart before the horse. So the cart, people always want to get the cart before the horse, and they expect the horse to push the cart. Horses don't do that. They pull. And so when you get the horse in front of the cart, you sort out some of these things. What happens next is people have to actually get in the cart, and they have to, and the cart's just not going to pull itself. You got to take the reins, and you have to be accountable, and you have to take control of your life and what your decisions are. So my big mission in life is not, somehow it's like, if you work with me, great. If not, that's okay too. But my big mission in life is to give you better information so that you can make better decisions about your health and wellness. And nobody can bully you on the Western medicine side or a doctor, because you only have 15 minutes to have a conversation with them.
Right.
So that's why I say about my book, it's a workbook, it's a guidebook. You wouldn't go to a foreign country you've never been to without a guidebook, and you want to have something so that it pieces together. And it's also an advocating tool. So you can command the conversation, because they usually say, what's the matter? Okay, let's do all the blood work, and the blood work is going to give them clues, but you can say like, hey, I have 11 organ systems that run like a Swiss watch, and this is where it looks like I'm sluggish.
Right.
And so how do we fix that? what do we do? And it's just like, and you got to have somebody that has the answers to be able to foster what your next best steps are so you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And, there's so much information out there about health and wellness that, programs that I run, when people, sign up with me, my minimum program is 3 months. When people sign up for those 3 months program, they always say, I should have signed up for the year. Because I do give a discount for, a longer period of time, and I want to see people really be well. Nothing gives me more happiness than to see somebody like, hey, girl, this is where you're at. This is where you're at now. Just like, look at, you got to celebrate your small wins because those small wins accumulate into a big one.
Yes. I mean, what I love, like I said, I love the 3 ways that you were talking about, the trauma, the toxins, and the mindset, because I believe that that's true in all aspects, like you said, of wellness. We move from a space of fear first, of not knowing what's happening or what's going on with us or why we're feeling the way that we're feeling. Then we get that education. And like you said, that's a huge piece because, like you said, it's where you're getting that information from. You want it to be a reliable source. You want it to be from someone who knows what they're talking about, so that way you can make those educated decisions that you're talking about.
Well, and they give you options. So it's just like, like, hey, there's a couple ways that you could approach this. A lot of times in medicine, they go, this is what you got to do. Well, sometimes that's important. Like, okay, so if you see something odd, like on a thermogram for the breast, you would say you have to go have a mammogram. But before that point in time, if you don't have a history of that, then you wanted to follow that by looking at what thermograms are. And as soon as you see the pattern change is when you take more in-depth action. But you want to be able to like, okay, so, I want to lose weight. What's my best word for losing weight? Some people go, oh, I want to do keto. Or I want to do the zone, or I want to do the South Beach diet, or Atkins diet. There's nothing wrong with any of those diets. The thing is whether or not you can commit to your health and your well-being and stick to it. So that's where that mindset and that positive mental attitude and that proper mindset really, really tie into not only your health, it could tie into your business. You can take these principles that I teach and like take them to your business. It's just like, so where am I faltering? What is it? And, that's going on in my environment, because we're not diagnosing what in my environment that I'm reacting to. Is it something that happened to me in my childhood? Is it my mother again? Or my father or my uncle or whoever, or my friend, what is it? And you find out what that is and you quell that so that you can say, okay, that's a memory now. I'm not reactive to it and I can move forward. And then get the support that you need from the people who are like your rah-rah cheerleader people going like, hey, Kim, like you're looking good. What are you doing? And you go, it's a secret, but it really is. It's like this, you can do this too, but you have to have that really, in your heart that this is the path I got to go down. If not, I'm going to end up sick and I'm going to die a lot sooner.
That's it. So like you said, it's all about, like I said, educating ourselves. Like we always say, knowledge is power. And we want to be in a space where we're learning so that we can grow, so that we can reach back and, like I said, help others and to be able to empower others. And that's what you're doing through your book as well. Now, one thing I wanted to go back to again, because I wanted to make sure, for those who are taking notes, because like I said, you're giving a litany of information, which is powerful. And we want people to be able to do that. You were talking about those 5 pillars. So I just wanted to repeat those again.
Okay, so the first pillar of health. Well, first, let's define health. So health is defined by Merriam-Webster's dictionary as, all your organs functioning at 100% of the time. So people, and here's the sad truth is that you don't know that. So the World Health Organization said that it is not merely the absence of disease or infirmities. In a nutshell, that's what they said. And it also included, other aspects that health isn't the sole purpose, but the purpose is to be able to live your life and then not let life live you. They didn't say the last part. I'm just paraphrasing that, so you have those things. So so knowing that, just like, well, how do I make sense of that? Okay, so there's 5 pillars, and the first pillar is diet and nutrition. You can have any diet in the world, doesn't mean it's nutritious. It has to be a diet that is supported by solid nutrition, organic foods, things that do not have toxic chemicals in them, like, they were sprayed with Roundup and things like that, which are known carcinogens. A lot of those chemicals on there are known carcinogens. The second pillar is exercise and proper exercise. Not everybody should do all types of exercises. It's just like, what is your body structure? What's the best exercise for you to do? And I always say, if you don't like to exercise, for instance, just go out and do the rule of one. Walk 1 mile, walk up and down the steps. If it's a bad day, decide like, how many steps do I have to do in order to create a mile, and there's usually around 2,000 steps, if you have like a Fitbit type thing, so you can go do that, and pace yourself. If like you get tired, stop. If you're walking and someone goes by and they smile at you and say, hey, I have, and I do this. I'm from the Midwest, we talk to everybody. But I tell people when someone smiles at me, I go, hey, what's your name? And I introduce myself. I never tell them what I do, but I introduce myself and say, like, how far are you walking today? And I said, oh, I'll walk with you a little bit. I'm going the same way. And people are so, like, when you approach things like that, you have people who are like, hey, do you want to do this again? Because having an accountability buddy will make you be a lot more successful. And someone who's not going to let you off the hook, like, okay, let's go out and have French fries and a beer, instead of walking today. We don't want that. That's not that person doesn't have your best interest at heart. And so, then you have that aspect of it. You have sleep. You have to have proper sleep. You have to have the 4 stages of sleep, 5 stages actually, in order to have a good night's sleep. The first 2 are very light. You're falling asleep. That feeling like when just before you go to sleep, sometimes you kind of go like, you feel like almost like you're floating and you're in deep sleep. So when you get to deep sleep is where all the magic happens. That's where you like your body restores, revitalizes yourself for the future. It's where you're detox. It's where it's a good thing to have, and then the 4th thing is positive mental attitude and positive mindset. You've got to know what the 3 brains do. There's 3 brains. There's one that's called the lizard brain. There's a brain that's called the mammalian brain. And there's a brain that's called the conscious brain. So the lizard brain, just to explain them quickly, is the guy who says to you, like, you're not worthy enough. Those pants, you better not get rid of them, because if you do, you're just going to end up back in them anyway. It's just like, you want that guy to shut up and get off your shoulder and get out of your life. You only want him to show up is when someone's going to cut you off in traffic. Or the saber-toothed tiger is in front of you. It's the fight or flight kind of like thing. But he talks. He talks. He's the one that remembers everything your parents told you that you couldn't do, and you believed. And so, I always say that when, because some people were talking about the lizard brain. And then you have the mammalian brain, which is automatic, just like the lizard brain, and it's based upon your memories of that have happened. So if you have like, I have girlfriends, I have male friends too, they're always going like, I never meet the right kind of girl. Well, whoever girl that you like tied into that emotion is the woman that you're more attracted to, and you got to figure out how to get past that. It's the thing of like, the good, the good feeling or the bad feeling about something. It's like what they do in movies. If you ever watch the movie, which is one of my favorite movies, and I highly recommend it, especially for a chick night, is to watch, Love Actually. It starts out, that movie? It starts out with Hugh Grant saying things like, love is in the air, basically, and it's all around, and it doesn't, there's nobody doing bad things at, let's not give anybody suggestions, at those checkpoints at airports. Everyone's happy. They're waiting to see their person come in who they're picking up, or they wouldn't be picking them up. So it sets a tone. So you tie that cool emotion with the mammalian brain, and that carries over into everything that you do. You watch that movie, at least even the beginning of it, you're going to have a better day, at the thing. And so, that part of it is really, really important. And then you have the conscious brain, which is where you do your affirmations. And so the affirmation is what you say in the beginning, because the lizard brain is still sleeping when you first get up. And that's where you say, I am healthy, I am active, I am vital, I am a successful human being. God gives me the air that I breathe, the water I drink to repair and vitalize me for the future. Radiant energy flows through me every day, every moment, in every way. I mean, I say that so many times, and, it's just like when you get used to saying it, you say it and you hit the ground running with a positive thought. And you end your day with a positive thought. Because if you watch too much TV, and if you're watching TV for the news, it's just like, turn it off. You want to start your day with a positive and end with a positive, because then you'll have more positive things happen to you. Because when you end your day with a negative and you start your day with a negative, you are a magnet. You are like fly paper looking for flies for negativity, and they all will come find you. It's so easy to do that, right? It does, isn't it? I mean, it's just, and I have girlfriends who I've left conversations, like have gone out to dinner with them, and they start, doing whatever, blah, 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 about my boyfriend or whatever. And I'm going like, okay, you got 2 minutes or 1 minute, and then we're done. We got to move on.
Right.
You cannot listen to that and have it suck your precious energy, because when it sucks your energy, it sucks your health. And having toxic people around you is a no-no. And so, and that's one of the things I bring in 2022 is that I'm really helping people identify who those people are, and learn how to deal with them. You can freeze them, because some people are your family and you just can't get rid of them. And you can freeze them, but you can freeze that energy so you stay protected, in a very specific way, so your energy is anchored, and when you just look at them and go, thanks for sharing it with me, have a great day. It's like, let's move on. Let's keep moving forward.
That's right.
And the last pillar is the proper posture, function, structures, function. And that's where you look at proper biomechanics. Because if you don't have proper mechanics, then your organs can't function well. If you are leaning over all the time and you're at a desk, you better put a note on your post-it on your desk, or set a timer. So you get up and stretch to the left, stretch to the right, stretch back, stretch up, breathe in 10 times and pull that energy. Like, breathe in goodness, breathe out badness, and if you do that and you take just a break, how long does that take? It takes you maybe like a minute, something like that. And it's just a good break. It's a good mindset. If you still can't get through it, go outside and hug a tree, and just give yourself permission to go outside and breathe air, so that you can get the nutrients from the air that you need. And having a properly functioning nervous system, because if you don't have good posture, you can't have a good, properly functioning nervous system. So structure is function. As if there's the misalignment and it's putting pressure on a nerve root, wherever that nerve root's going to, whatever organ, cell, or tissue, it eventually, it's like, having, your light, in your room that's run by a battery. It's bright, and then you start noticing that maybe I should get a new battery.
Right.
And if you pay attention, you get the new battery, and you plug it in and you get turned on, fired up, and you move forward.
That's right.
So those are the 5 pillars of health, with a little bit of an explanation.
Beautiful. No, and that's good. That's what we want. It's like you said, it's about that knowledge. It's about getting to a place of understanding so that we know our body and we know the signals and things to look for when we're not, functioning in good health. And that's the thing that I say, I think about my own personal wellness journey. And I just remember, being in a space of not feeling well or feeling a sense of wellness. I was just like, I just don't feel good when I get up or when I'm moving. I don't feel as good as I do. And I know that something is wrong, and something signals in my brain that says, I need to do something about how I'm feeling. And when I look at the title of the book, that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling, quote unquote, out of sorts? There's something wrong, and I feel the need to do something about it. And then you have some people who will wait until, like you said, New Year's, and they say, well, I'm going to wait, and New Year's resolution, or I'm going to wait till Monday. I'm one of those people where if I don't feel well right now, I'm looking to do something right now. So I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? What are the steps that I need to take to start getting out of this place of not feeling well or feeling out of sorts, to get back to feeling, quote unquote, normal, or feeling better about, how my body is functioning, especially as I age. So I guess that's something, how do we, or why is it that, do you think that we get to this space of feeling like we don't feel well, but we feel like we want to wait. We stay in a state of pain, or we stay in this space of tiredness, and we don't feel compelled to do something about it.
Well, I think that happens because where you have a mindset that comes from someplace, like, you know, I can remember when I first told my mother I was going to go to Europe, and she goes, "You're going to spend all that money?" And, you know, and I said to her, well, I could die next year, you know, and I said, so I'm going now. And I said, so then what happens to that money? You know,
Right.
and so she was beside herself because she grew up in depression, and you just didn't, you know, that
Right.
thought process. I was always challenging her, you know, and how she ever put up with me for all those years, I don't know, but she did. But, you know, there's no time like the present. And if you want a little trick of the trade to get out of that, no time is better than present, and you take action. It's just like, you know, sometimes like if you get up in the morning and you're going, oh, I'm not going to make my bed, you know, do the one simple act. Make your bed, even if you just throw the covers up, because that will give you a sense of completion. So like when you're going to go downstairs, you know, like if you have like 2 floors, or you're going into the kitchen and you got 4 things that you got to carry with you, you know, take them with you. You know, and just like, even if you put them down and it's like, okay, so, but keep on completing the task. I have to do this. I have to make 20 calls, you know, and I have patients, you know, clients that I have to see, you know, and talk to, you know, it's just like, I want to make sure I give my clients enough time so that in case trust me, it always happens at the very end. Someone decides to have a breakdown and about something, you know, they have a memory. You don't let somebody off the telephone and saying, work it out on your own. You know, it's just like, okay, so let's find out what's really going on. And let's like put the kibosh to that so that you can have that today. But, you know, people are like, they're procrastinators. And the only way you're going to get out of procrastination is to make those small chores into successes for yourself. You know, like make the bread, brush your teeth. If you say I'm going to exercise and I do 140 sit-ups. I either do them in the morning or I do them at night. It depends if I wash my hair in the morning or if I'm not washing my hair. Because if I'm washing my hair, they happen at night. But I do them, you know, and I'm committed to doing them every day because I remember having a 27-inch waistline. At one point in time, you know, and I'm thinking, I don't want to buy new clothes. I have all these beautiful clothes that I bought, you know, why am I like, you know, it's just like, if that's a goal, you got to figure out what your why is. You got to figure out what motivates you and what lights you on fire. And if you can figure that out, I can help you stack things in the right way so that you can get that. Tell me what your dream day is. Write it down, send it to me. And when you start in the morning, when I wake up, this is my dream day. Bang, 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 bang. And it's just like, and I'll tell you how to get there. You know, and it's just like, and it's just a combination of taking these, you know, like the questionnaire in here. And I have another questionnaire I usually give out because I want to know how well you're doing in your environment. You know, I want to know if you're detoxing well enough, because if you aren't, your gut's not either, you know, so you've got to look at like, what do I have to fix first? Where do I have to go that I'm, you know, that I can get the best bang for my buck and I can get better in 90 days as opposed to 60, you know, like, or excuse me, 90 days as opposed to like 160, 180, like 6 months, you know? So, you know, you have to like know, you know, all like where all those pieces of the puzzle. So I'm a strategist. I organize that stuff. Things that I don't handle, like if I have somebody who I'm not getting the results that I want to see for them and they're not getting the results, then I'm always talking to their doctor. You know, it's just like we need, you know, because I go on the premise of you don't guess, you test. So the first test that you do is like the questionnaire that's in this book, because you've got to know what your baseline is. You got to know what your basic and your foundational line is. You got to know what you're working with. And because you can't just like get that, you know, cart, you know, and put it back in front of the horse. You're not going to get anywhere, you know, and then you're going to say like, it doesn't work for me. You know, and so, and you've got to stop being poor me. You got to take responsibility for that poor me. Take responsibility for, you know, where you're at in your life. And then you can say like, you know what, that used to be me. It's no longer me, you know, and I get the support mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and socially that I need to move forward. And that's where you may have the biggest progress. That's where you have, you know, the mindset that, you know, anything's possible. If you can dream it, if you can think it, it's possible. You just have to figure out how to put the pieces of this puzzle together so you create the foundation so you can hit the ground running.
Absolutely. And I love that you say that because, you know, I like that you say it is about finding out that why first, knowing that initially, because in determining that why, like you were talking about, then you can know how to best, ask the questions that you need to ask, and also find the right person to be able to help you to get where you need to go, because we don't always know all of the questions to ask either. So that's why it's good to have someone like yourself, or to have someone like a coach, somebody who is familiar with this, who can help you to strategize, who can help you to figure out, what pieces I'm missing, what things I'm not certain of, but also that you're giving yourself the words. Sometimes we have issues with communicating and being able to articulate what it is that we're feeling, or what it is that's going on with us. And sometimes we need those prompts. And so, when finding out our why, we also need to be able to know when to ask for help. If we're getting, to that point where we know a little bit about why and not quite sure where to go from there.
That, if they always say that women always ask for directions, but the thing about women is they don't always ask for help. And so, and that's a very good point. And because a lot of people don't ask for help, because they don't want to look stupid. They don't want to ask the question, like, what if, what are they going to think? Who cares what they think?
Right.
I have so many women in my office. When I had my office back up on Cape Cod, I have so many women that I would say they're going to their OBGYN, and they're going, what question should I ask them? You only have like 15 minutes.
That's
so if
right.
you don't have your question, if you don't command the floor, and stand up and say, well, you don't have to actually stand up, but command the floor and just say, I've got these questions here. I wrote them out. I need you to answer them.
There you go.
And so you don't mind if I record this conversation, do you?
Right.
And then record it. Then you don't have to remember, so that when you get out and you get back in the car with your husband or your girlfriend, it's like, well, what did they say? They go, I don't know. I can't tell you how many patients told me in 10 years when I was on Cape Cod, I don't know. And I just went, well, I go, what happened? I'm intimidated by him. Then go to a different doctor.
That's right.
If your doctor doesn't get you, he's the wrong doctor.
That's right.
And it's just like, and you should be able to say whatever you want to say, even if it's something like, I don't like, it's just like when I worked on people as a chiropractor and they said, I don't want my neck adjusted. I go, there's more than one way to adjust the neck. You don't have to go clack, clack with it. You can, there's other ways that you can do it, and just say, but I wanted to know why they thought that first before we went. And then, I would show them motion wise. Sometimes I go, it's this here is just a little teeny weeny, like needs to get, go into place. And they go, all right, go ahead, do it. And I had people drive 2 hours to my office just to get their neck adjusted. And I'm thinking, I'm good. I always thought, like, they go, no, Dr. Pat, you're like, I've been to a lot of chiropractors. You're the best chiropractor for circle adjustments I've been to in 25 years. And I was like, and it's just something that's God given to me. It's just like, I have that ability to read between lines, to have common sense. I wouldn't tell anybody to do something I wouldn't do myself. So if someone gives me business wise or whatever, they tell me something, I think, are you here listening to yourself talk? I mean, you really have to like ask that question. It's just like, that's a question to ask you, because we lack common sense in this country and around the globally right now.
But true.
We have people who like, they're, I just posted something today about, just because a scientist says it doesn't mean it's true, because so many times we've had drugs that were released that were out that 10 years later, we found that it killed thousands of people. Because they let it go through too quickly, and it's just like, there's nothing, you've got to like ask, like, well, why is that a benefit for me? If you're, like even on, and I always say this about, the vaccine, I don't mind a vaccine. I think the theory of vaccination is perfect. But when someone's telling me that there's a booster that's 4 months out later, they're telling me that the first thing that they gave you didn't work, and it's just like, so it's just like, does that make sense to me? It's like, it doesn't make me want to get in line to get the booster, at all, and because I'm thinking, wait a minute, you give me better evidence, so, it's like how you create evidence in a daily life is you create your dream day, and you go like, what is the first thing on that list that I can achieve? And then you get that, because when you start to feel happier and healthier, more vibrant, your brain, remember the conscious brain and the mammalian, that ties in a brand new experience from the mammalian brain. Mammalian brain's going, yeah, I want that. And it tells the lizard brain to shut up.
That's right.
Right. And then you have that whole, it's that that great energy that you have, and you can keep it momentum. Sometimes we get dissuaded or we get distracted because when something happens, we go into old lizard brain mode. So when it happens, you just like, okay, I fell off the wagon. I ate something, whatever. Just say, okay, I forgive myself. Let's move on. Let's get back on track. Let's keep on going. Know what the end prize is. Know where you're walking and who's walking with you, because you don't have someone who has your back. Sometimes you got to walk that walk alone, but you don't always have to do that. Is at least get the foundation going and then be able to check in to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
That's it. I mean, and I loved it. I mean, all of these things, like I said, are definitely paramount in helping us, like I said, start, embark on and maintain a good, wellness journey, because we have to get to, like I said, we have to get to that why. Like you said, you have to have those supportive people. You have to have that knowledge. We have to be childlike in asking why, and just keep asking why, so that we know why we're doing the things that we do. Because just like you said, sometimes we don't always, have common sense. And so when, I feel that as a society and as individuals, we should be able to get to a point where we can articulate why we're doing the things that we're doing. Why do we choose to do this? Why are we acting on this? And not just because someone told us so, but because we understand the dynamics of why. And so I love that you bring that to light.
Well, one thing I always did in my practice when I saw people one-to-one all the time is that I would draw this thing. Here's your brain, here's your spinal cord, goes there, cell tissue and organ. Primary support for your body is the bone. Secondary support, ligaments hold bone to bone. And then you have the disc between that, in your spine. And so your primary support is your bone, but your primary joints are your spinal cord and your ankles. It's not your knees. So when you have a knee problem, for instance, you don't necessarily, that's a secondary joint to me and my biomechanic, out frame. And so are your arms, and that it's all connected. That too, so, and one of the biggest things that people can do to, even because your body needs to stay flush, it needs to stay hydrated. You've got to drink enough water.
That's right.
And it's just, you got to stay hydrated, and you got to drink good water. Don't drink water from the tap. It has neurotoxins in it. Neurotoxins cause cancer. You got to, and if I can implore anything, like when you're talking about diet, you got to take a look at the ingredients. If you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't buy it. You should never shop in the middle of a grocery store unless you're buying things for cleaning, that are green, and looking for like specific foods. Like if you're looking for organic rice, that's not going to be on the outer side, but eating like live, fresh food and organic food is so essential, because you have to nourish your body. If you don't nourish yourself, you can't nourish somebody else. That's right. And you've got to read the label. It's like, I always say, make foods that only have 5 ingredients, and they have cookbooks for that, so it's like you can actually go out and do that. And then you're minimizing your chemical exposure, and there's only in one way, because we all have heavy metal toxicity. We all have some level of heavy metals in our body, and heavy metals go deep. They don't like hang out in the blood supply. They go deep. They go to bone. I mean, look at when they had mercury poisoning for kids, where did they find it? They found it in the bone in the lower part of the leg, and you could see these white lines where it deposited, and to get mercury out of your system, you have to take major high doses of vitamin C. So we just have to be more mindful of what our environment is, what we're eating, what we're thinking, in that the 3T part of it, the trauma, toxins, and thoughts, and really take command of our life and how to move that forward.
That's it.
Yep.
Well, like I said, I know we're getting close to the end of the show, but I mean, and like I said, we've covered a whole lot of information, and I think that it's wonderful, because we've talked about those 5 pillars and the importance of those, the diet and nutrition, the exercise, the sleep, the positive mindset, the proper posture. And then, of course, talking about sickness and the trauma, the toxins and the thoughts. These are all, like you said, baselines for helping us to be able to build on that wellness.
So, I wanted to just interject here just for a
Sure.
second. I am launching an evergreen course that takes everything that we talked about today and
Mhm.
puts it into a 4-week program so you can understand how to get those basics back. It is called Be Stronger Than Medicine. It will be on Eventbrite very shortly. And that it normally is, I'm selling for 50% off for January and February, for the rest of
Okay.
January, and maybe into like the middle of March, because I said 2 months, and we're almost into the middle of January, so it's got to
Right.
be 2 months. If people want to find, how to find that course for themselves, and then what I'm going to do, my surprise gift on that, is that if you take the course and you finish the course, you'll have 45 minutes of my time. And we can sit there because I have a really special questionnaire on that in that course that I give out that tells us how you're detoxifying, how you're handling toxins in your world, and what's going on with your gut. And so, it's just like, that's what I want, because I want people to be well. I want people to be able to walk the walk and talk the talk. And if you're local right now where I'm at in Atlanta, I'm more than happy to, give a talk, help people have, a better experience in their life, because we're all here together. We got to
That's right.
walk. We got to walk with each other, and we
That's
got to
right.
have each other's back.
Okay, now you say you're going to do that on Eventbrite. Do you have a website? What is the way that people can get in contact with you?
Well, my website is, healthteamnetwork.com. And so if you would be interested in knowing more about that course, you can connect with me on there on the contact page and just write down, like you can write down why, and I will know it's from this broadcast, it's for or just put down why Eventbrite. And then I will I'll get the link to you, because that should be published in the next couple of days. We've had a computer problem this morning.
That's all right. That's all right. But that's wonderful, because I want people to know how to get in contact with you, and those who are here in the Atlanta area, to be able to look out for that event.
Yeah.
Be Stronger Than Medicine. And like I said, you go to www.healthteamnetwork.com and write why Eventbrite, and she'll be able to get that information to you.
For
Now,
sure.
I have one other question for you, because this is a question I ask all of my guests when they come on. How are you living in the now? What is something that you do to cope? And that acronym stands for Create Our Peaceful Existence. So what is something that you do personally to help to navigate in this space that we're in?
Well, first off, one of the things is I keep my sense of humor. And we've laughed so far since we've been because we were a little bit late starting, because it was my fault, and I take accountability for things that I do.
Absolutely.
And when I go to sleep at night, I do a couple things. If I can't sleep, I think, what is it that's really bothering me? I'm going, oh, is that conversation? No, but what's really bothering me? And then I make peace with it before I go to sleep. And then I give myself permission to go to sleep. So I always really sleep well, because I know that my sleep is one of my big components. It's that, unfair advantage that I have in my back pocket, that if I have to have a longer day, a more stressful day, and then I don't feel that challenge, and I eat really well. I don't eat crappy food. I have, do I eat sugar sometimes? I was at a dinner party last night, and we had, this girl said, you probably don't even eat this stuff, do you, Dr. Pat? And I said, what's that? She said, butter pecan ice cream. I said, only give me 2 tablespoons. Because it's okay to sin. You can sin. You don't have to, but you need to sin well. You don't do it every day. And you'd only, last time I had ice cream probably was about 5 or 6 months ago. And it was the same kind of scenario. I just don't buy it. When I go buy it, I always pick it up. If I want to have the fix, I open it up, I'm at the grocery store, I open up and I look at it and I go, do I really need you?
That's right.
And it's just like, I'm like, no, I can put it back on,
Right.
and then I say goodbye to it and say, see you in 4 months.
That's it. Or you get those little tiny itty bitty ones, or you get something just to satiate, just like you said, it's not, I think we always think in extremes, like, okay, no, I'm going to get this ice cream, I got to eat the whole gallon, as opposed to eating 1 or 2 teaspoons.
Well, if you buy the whole gallon, you'll eat the whole gallon, and then you'll fit in those stretchy pants better. And so, but the thing is that in coping, it's like, I always try to smile at people, because when we get stuck in our thoughts, we start looking like this, and you're not approachable. And so when, and saying something nice. It's so much easier to say something nice than it is to say something negative, and there's, like, and I love animals. So all animals think I'm, the animal whisperer.
Yes.
And like, I'm bounding up to me. They're going, I'm so sorry. He's jumping. I said, it's dog hair. It goes away. I mean, it's not the end of the world. And I asked that, it's just like, what did I learn? Like when something happens that it isn't good, and, I'm like fit to be tied by it. I always ask myself, I'm going, well, is there something I could have done better?
Right.
And then if the answer is no, or if the answer is yes, I write it down. And then if the answer is no, I go, okay, so, how do you keep moving forward? So when I look at my superpowers of what I have common sense, I have persistence, I have resourcefulness, and I have the ability to be intuitive and read in between the lines. And so, and that's where, and I could, there's a couple other things that just come natural for me. Guys, for some reason, I always know where north is. And just, like when I get in the car, I don't get lost unless I'm in downtown Boston, which has all these old call paths, things like that. Right. But you have to like look at what you got going for you, and then saying, well, right now I only have resourcefulness for me, or I'm persistent. Well, how do you make that persistence into a positive experience?
That's it.
And you got to give it up at the end of the day. You cannot let the things that happen in life, interfere with your good sleep. Because whatever it is, like if there is something you can do about that sleep thing, get up and do it, and then give yourself permission and go to sleep. Or write down whatever you got, because it's going to be there in 8 hours, 6 hours, or like, how many hours it is that you have. Right. So in coping, especially in this day and time, is that it's like, what's my bandwidth? And it's just like, I have a huge bandwidth for anybody who wants to help themselves get better. And if you do, I'm your girl. And, other ways that people can reach out to me too are on LinkedIn, because that's how we found each other. That's and, right. And I have a Facebook page. So in LinkedIn, it's the linkedin.com.in, Dr. Pat Boulogne. And then my Facebook page, but I'm more present on LinkedIn, and I'm on Instagram too, but I really focus on people who, if I can change their life, they have the wherewithals and ways to change somebody else's life. So I can take what they give me and I can make it 10 times in the fold.
Yes, and then they can also get your book. I have my copy right here too. Why Are You Sick, Fat, and Tired? You can find it on Amazon, and is it also on your website as well? You can
grab it from my website. It will take you to Amazon. Perfect. I wanted to keep my life simple. So it's like it's one less link that could go wrong. So,
yes.
On a webpage. So like
I said, I love the book. I love that it talks about being setting up different systems and going through different exercises that'll help you to really be able to lay that foundation. So I think that it's a wonderful resource. And, like I said, all the information that you have shared today has been awesome, even down to the things that you're coping with. And I love that you say, identify your superpower, know what your superpower is, give yourself permission to address those questions that you have before you lay your head down on that pillow and go to sleep, so that your sleep is substantive, and that, you're going to wake up with a new perspective. And that's a beautiful space to be in, as we're, moving forward in this wellness journey. So Dr. Pat, I want to thank you for taking time to be with us today, and for sharing so much of your knowledge and your wisdom, and for helping us to start that conversation again on how we're getting on that path to wellness, what we can do to start taking those steps to, have a better life and to live a life that's more abundant. So again, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming, and we'll definitely have you back.
That'd be great.
On my show, I always have people come back. There's never you come here, so one and done. There's always something to talk about in the now when it comes to our wellness. So I'll be always happy to have you back, and hopefully you'll be able to come back and talk with us once again about how we're to go about and how we're to navigate in this space that we're in right now. Okay, awesome. So that will do it for this edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. And until we see you the next time, I say peace.